Greetings and salutations, my name is Deltran, doing Fire Emblem Heroes, talking about Lloyd, the White Wolf. This red sword infantry is available through the Grand Hero Battle rewards and quests. You and I are going to go over his stats, skills, good matchups, bad matchups, how to use them, and how to bling him out. But before all of that, let's get his digits. So you know the rule of thumb, 35 for offensive stats, 32 for defensive stats, 42 for hit points is where I'd like to see things. And Lloyd makes one of these and has a near miss in two. 35 speed is wonderful, we can work with that. 34 speed isn't uncommon and it's viable. 20 defense is rivaling what most non-tanky mages have, and it's going to make your 41 hit points, while it's right there, make it feel about as useless as a hero that you can't use for SI to give the death blow to somebody else. Yes, I'm talking about you, Alphonse. But that resistance, though, whoo! We could definitely tank a hit from a mage with that. Just stay away from all the blues, okay? Besides, Lloyd's a little more of a classic rock kind of guy. Comparing him to his contemporaries, we can see that we're right in the middle on hit points. Really, 41 is about as low as you're going to see most Sword Lords. Olivia's a little bit out of the range for different things like that. Comparing him to his contemporaries, you can see that we're right in the middle. Really, 41, there's a cluster of people around that range. Olivia is a little bit of an outlier when it comes down to it, and so is Crom with his 47 hit points. It's quite amazing. And Crom is also top of the attack list. We're right in the middle. We pretty much will match other people at 35, 34, and of course Fur is at the very bottom of this list. Speed-wise, Long Ku is actually the fastest. Lloyd is roughly in the middle, and just to have a comparison there, I put Ryoma there. He actually has the same speed as Lloyd, just to give you a little bit of a comparison. And then, with one of the worst speeds ever, is Seliph down at the bottom. As far as defense goes, Hinata, I actually was surprised about this, has the most defense, and we are at the bottom. As far as resistance goes, we're right up there with Fur. Actually, Fur has one more than us, but otherwise, we are pretty much right at the top of resistance, Alphonse, and at the very, very bottom is Ogmar. And, you can look at that one on your own. As for his implements of doom, Lloyd is sporting the Regal Blade, and this is where we first get the idea that he's meant to be a one-hit kill for our opponents. Lloyd isn't meant to be sticking his neck out and taking a hit, but rather he dives in and he kills his target, and if there's a mage standing there guarding the fresh corpse, then who cares? He has the resistance to tank it. If the opponent is at full hit points, Regal Blade is going to go ahead and give us a buff whenever we smack and hit them, and that buff really helps us out. That basically puts us into 50 strength for hitting. Regal Blade having a 14 might. And if we take a look here, we also have Iceberg as the special. This is a really nice one, giving him 50% of his resistance onto his damage. This is going to give us a wonderful spike of damage to help us finish off opponents every other round. Rounding out his utility belt, we see some interesting and often overlooked skill, Pass. But don't pass on it just yet. You aren't laughing. Anyway, Pass lets us scoot by someone if we have enough hit points to do so. And Threatened Attack is a defensive debuff that throws a big old wet towel on the enemy's weapons, lowering their attack by 5. And with this default kit, Lloyd is meant to identify a target in the mid or the back rank and dive straight for them. Lloyd needs to kill them in one round, and then between his high resistance and threatened attack, Lloyd can weather a storm long enough for the rest of his team to catch up, and hopefully safely now that the key target's been eliminated. This build is honestly pretty useless in PvP because of the nature of the way AI moves, but in a lot of Grand Hero battles and a lot of the special maps, and even in certain circumstances during Tempest trials, especially for maps that are always consistent, you'll be able to use Lloyd to be able to get into the back and get rid of somebody who might be bothering you, and let one of your combats come on up and take care of the person that Lloyd bypassed. Let's check out the obituaries. 52 wins, 8 losses, and 92 draws. 921 and 122 at 4-star. We're going to talk about 5-star the rest of this. That's a pretty decent record coming out the gate. A lot of times, a lot of the good heroes, unless they have distant counter, are only going to get like 40, high 30s on the win ratio, and we'll have a similar loss. So the fact that we're up to 52 is actually really promising. As far as who we take care of, a lot of high defense greens are up there. I picked the thickest of them all and put them up there. As far as reds go, you know, we're like right in the middle. People who don't, some of them have some bulk, some of them don't, might have lower hit points. That's where we're at. Blues, that's all the blues we take care of. Those three mages, just them. And as far as grays, I picked some of the thicker ones there, but there are a few people missing. Let's take a look at the reverse side. On defense, it's 17, 13, 122 if we get smacked first, and you shouldn't be too surprised to see all kinds of brave weapon users here. This is just like a brave weapon convention, except for all the schmucks right there in the middle. Ike is someone that takes care of us. All the brave bow users, all the brave lance users, brave sword users. If it's brave, it can take care of Lloyd. As far as filling out his missing skills for support, I recommend Rally Speed. It got you. Come on, guys. Don't you know me by now? Reposition. Reposition. Whenever Lloyd can't get a clear shot, he needs to be able to help redeploy the team so that they could do their job. Lloyd is also a fantastic Fury user, probably the best single A-slot skill if you're not going to be mucking around with the rest of him. That 6 damage ping that he gets is not a big deal. He could still even tank 1 mage hit at the very beginning of everything, and the boost all of his stats just really helps him do exactly what he needs to do. If you're not liking the idea of taking that damage, though, Darting Blow actually gets you more kills, but does expose you to a few more untimely deaths. And Death Blow is better than nothing, although, honestly, that's best saved for that brave weapon user that you're training up that's gonna punk rival Lloyds. Now we're gonna move into talking about some of the bigger builds, but first I want to preface that none of these builds will remove Regal Blade. Nothing is worth the investment to be able to give Lloyd a new weapon, and honestly, none of them do him any favors. Regal Blade is a fantastic weapon. Too bad it's not a plus, because I'd probably recommend putting it on nearly anybody who doesn't have a distant counter weapon. So Regal Blade is here to stay. Secondly, all the builds going forward have Moonbow as the special, and that just makes Lloyd more consistent. However, Iceberg and Glacies are really still on the table if you like to have that spike damage, and if you're a little bit short on SP or different SI fodder, keep Iceberg. If you like to have that really big hit, go with Glacies. I don't think that is the best out of everything, but honestly, whenever you finally do tap somebody for that 80% of your resistance on top of everything else, it's wonderful. Nothing is going to stand up to that. You get like over 100 kills whenever you do that. So if that's your thing, then please go ahead and do it. It's going to work well. Third and lastly, I want to say that Pass is garbage on infantry units. Lloyd's kit works with Pass, but his movement does not. If Lloyd was a horsey or a flyer, this would be a different story. But Pass otherwise just doesn't work, so spoilers, Pass is not going to be in the B slot for any of this. Well, with that said, let's take a look at these builds. First build here is actually really good for people who are still on a tight budget SI-wise. 78, 11, 63 whenever all the opposition has Fury. We're keeping Regal Blade, we're keeping Reposition. Moonbow, as I explained earlier. Darting Blow does give us a lot of kills, and if we combine that with Desperation, as soon as we lose our 11 hit points, we're going to be standing strong and just smacking everybody. I do want to point out that instead of Reposition, if you want to try to accelerate into Desperation, don't worry about Ardent Sacrifice. That's only going to lose you 10 hit points. You need to lose 11. This is where his 41 hit points, his relatively medium hit points, is working against us. It'd be nice if it was either a bit higher or like 1 point lower. Unfortunately, we got 41. Don't worry about Ardent Sacrifice. If you want to accelerate into something, you could switch into something like Reciprocal Aid. You could also put down Fury for the A slot. You're not going to get as many wins, but you're going to be a little bit more resilient as far as other aspects go, and it will accelerate into that. Unfortunately, you'll still need to have 2 hits on different opponents in order to get you down to 6, or you just need to fight somebody and get smacked in the face. So The problem with Lloyd being a desperation user is he does have to risk himself. But when it comes down to it, once again, we talked about his kit, and even going in this route, you want him to get in there deep. You want him to try to take out a target that is going to cause everybody else grief, and he should be able to take at least one hit, because we have Threatened Attack 3. That is a defensive skill. That's going to lower the enemy's attack by 5. So basically it gives him a pseudo 5 defense, which means his defense is okay at that point in time. If it works against the mage where he already has a sturdy resistance, even better. Looking at his second build, Sturdy Blow 2 helps him out a lot. It lets him engage all those melee users and not... Looking at this second build, Sturdy Blow 2 is a wonderful skill. It's going to let him smack melee attackers and not take that much damage. And it also gives him that nice little boost that he needs. We're going to Swordbreaker in this case instead of using Desperation. While Desperation is great for Lloyd once he's in the range, he does even better killing people whenever he's desperate. Swordbreaker is going to be there so that he can take care of all the red infantry units, and there are so many that it is definitely worth doing it. There are a lot of high priority targets that are red sword units, and Swordbreaker is going to make sure that Lloyd can assassinate all of them. We still have Threatened Attack 3 on here. This is going to be good for him, this is going to be good for his comrades, and it's going to help everybody, so, you know, there's just a lot to smile about. Hey! Lloyd's smiling! I think. Lastly, I want to show you guys a defensive build. This is a supportive defensive build. This is not the kind of defensive build you want to build a team around. If you're like, oh, I want to go ahead and have the Black Fang as my defensive team, or you want to try to just put them all together and you want to have a enemy phase Lloyd, well, this will sort of do it for you, but as you can see, it's very lackluster. It's 32-1-109. This is one being initiated on whenever all the opponents have Fury as well, just to keep up with the defense, because once again, you need to be able to have Lloyd attack and kill something. Quick Riposte doubles his kills in this particular build. Fortress Defense 3 does not lower his kill ratio as much as you would think. This is just not something you really want to field for defense. However, Attack Ploy 3 is going to work fantastic on him. There are several people that it's not going to work on, a lot of different mages, a couple of different people who are not very PvP relevant, but the attack ploy otherwise will go ahead and work out. No movement skill for the support. Please don't do that to yourself. If you're going to run this build, you're already going to have a hard enough time winning in defense. You don't need to handicap yourself by letting the computer reposition someone back and forth across the battlefield the entire time. And hey, do me a favor, if you're on mobile, rotate your phone to portrait mode. If you're on desktop, hit escape and go back out of full screen mode, and click the like button if I gave you something to chew on. If you missed some of the latest Fire Emblem Hero information, tap or click on any of the links on the left. And if you like your information hot and fresh like Grandma's cookies, tap that subscribe button. My name's Deltran. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate all of you. And until next time, take it easy.